Today, thousands and thousands of Africans and many countries in Africa have conflicts. Notably, from Libya, Cameroon, Nigeria, Biafra, and Boko Haram, to Democratic Republic of Congo, of where we have seen a resurgence of the past military and conflicts coming back in that country. Hundreds and hundreds of people have been displaced, killed, maimed, tortured, raped, several of them dying of hunger, starvation, and other natural causes. The fighting seems not to be ending. For the sake of Libya, the Libyan recognized international government is under siege in Tripoli from another faction recognized by Egypt, France, UAE, and other countries. Whereas the one in Tripoli is recognized by the UN, it has been bombarded, has been strangulated, and many millions of Libyans are dying of hunger, lack of water. The water system has been cut off. The bombardment goes on. In Democratic Republic of Congo, we've seen more of active rebel activities returning to the region after some silence has been observed. When we come to Cameroon, we see millions and millions of Amazonians slaughtered. Yet, when you come to Biafra, again millions and hundreds of millions and millions are worried, displaced, tortured by the Buhari regime. Yet again in the north, we see Boko Haram killing, maiming, abducting, and burning down villages in the same Nigeria. When you cross over to Central African Republic, the same is the history that has littered Africa. While all these events are taking shape, Africa is silent. Africa is not making enough efforts to find a solution to what is causing the problems in Libya, in DRC, in Cameroon, in Nigeria, Biafra, and now you add in Khartoum, Sudan. As people die, the people of Africa have no answers, have no solutions. There is nothing to endear to bring an end to the conflicts that have killed Africa. We seem to be new ones manufactured, old ones reignited, encouragement coming from external powers. One power that has been seen in the shadows of all these conflicts, especially the one of Libya that has escalated in the Sahara region of Africa, is France. When you come to Democratic Republic of Congo, the same country is in the shadows. The war can be seen is France. When you come to Cameroon, in Amazonia, the one behind that has the key to bringing peace is France. Therefore, our question as Africans, why are we silent? Why are we not saying enough is enough of the wars? Thank you.
Good afternoon, viewers. Thank you very much. Welcome to Punchline Africa Television, broadcasting from the Coastal Mobile Unit in Mombasa across the Indian Ocean offshores. We are testing our satellite systems to see whether we shall be able to be broadcasting during the fantastic good days. Therefore, I'm in the coastal city of the Republic of Kenya in Mombasa. I've been across back that way. You can see the many activities of so many people preparing for Christmas. I wanted to come down here to test the equipment, the mobile units that will be working over Christmas, and we will oversee as we sit in our homes across the Republic of Kenya in Africa and the globe. Punchline Africa Television will bring to you down during your Christmas a live coverage from several other position points on mobile units in Malaba, in Busia, up in Lodwar, up in northeastern in Garissa, in Lunga Lunga, in Mombasa. We shall be coming live from the mobile units of our satellite systems. Good afternoon, all of you on the channel. I'm Dr. David Matsanga from the Political Mobile Command Center in Mombasa, Kenya. Thank you very much. Miriam, good afternoon across in Nairobi. Wherever you are in Nairobi, thank you. The weather in Mombasa was rainy across the coast. Very early in the morning, we had showers starting at 4 a.m. this morning. And this afternoon, it is really hot. In fact, if you step out of the house or the hotel where I am, the house where you are, you will feel the heat. Good afternoon across in Lagos. Good afternoon in Tripoli. Good afternoon in Asmara. Good afternoon in Addis Ababa. Good afternoon in Harare. Good afternoon in Pretoria, Cape Town, Johannesburg. Good afternoon in DRC, Democratic Republic of Congo. Good afternoon in Kampala, the capital city of President Yoweri Museveni, our city. Good afternoon. Thank you very much for going in to discipline the rebels who have been disturbing the peace across our border, coming to bomb us. Good afternoon across in Accra. Good afternoon in Central African Republic. The suffering of the people of Central African Republic will not be forgotten. Good afternoon in Kigali. Good afternoon in Mozambique, Maputo. In Harare, Zimbabwe. Emerson Mnangagwa, you are doing a good job, great job. Back in Nairobi. Good afternoon, President Uhuru Muigai Kenyatta, wherever you are. Thank you very much for the infrastructure, for unity of purpose, for Pan-Africanism, for everything that you have done for Africa. God will always reward you, Mr. President. Keep talking. Keep making sure that Africa is united. Keep making sure that Kenya is left in the right hands of the people who can unite it, not those seeking power through anger, violence, and hatred. Those ones, don't give them the baton. Mr. President, I say it. I am not from the line of the prophets Elijah or Elisha, but I predict that this nation will grow. I might not be there to see the growth. I might not enjoy the fruits of its growth in the great East African region, but Kenya will one day rise and shine under the unity banner of the correct leaders. Good afternoon back then in the studios in Nairobi, Command Center, General Headquarters, the lady herself, Iron Lady, who has kept that Command Center, a lady among only men. I'm sorry, I have made a very big mistake not to employ several ladies. But ladies, you are supposed to come on challenge. Miriam needs more of you to come under my composition in the office of Punchline Africa television is not balanced. So I'm requesting more ladies who are able. This morning I was taken by the type of analysis. One Mumbi wa Mbui. Thank you, Mumbi. You called me, you talked, we chatted. You wrote a very good article on how the French have disrupted peace development in this great continent of Africa. Thank you very much. I want more of those researchers. I want more of people. Don't waste your PhD. Don't waste your master's degree. Don't waste your degree in doing things that are not worth it. Utilize it. Mumbi wa Mbui, my dear, you are welcome to the Punchline community. Let's analyze. Thank you. Back to you, Miriam, in the studio, so that we look at the topics of Kenya. The newspapers, I have them. I hope they are the same as the ones you have. So usually there are two copies of this newspaper, the ones that come before midnight and the other one. So I have the same headlines. Then we shall move on to the elections and the politics of Kenya. Where is Ruto today? Is he still mangering around the region? He has concentrated on the region as if only Kenya lives there. The entire Kenya needs him, but he's always praying. I'm told God comes from the mountains. I don't know. But there is always God in the valleys. A sad thing happened yesterday to Kenya. Almost 30 people lost their lives in a bus. There are two things that when I teach political science to my students, I always tell them, one cardinal rule is risk assessment of any subject. Medium. If you are going to do an exam, you see the risks. Are you ready for the exam? If you are not ready, you tell your teacher, my mother is sick, and it seems that as I talk, the power has gone.
We apologize for that interruption there from Mombasa, but I think at this point I'll bring in Daniel Wesonga from Nairobi. Daniel, a very good afternoon to you.
Yes, a very, very good afternoon to you, Miriam Ogutu in Nairobi. Good afternoon to Dr. Masanga David from Mombasa, Kenya. My good brother, Samson Ongera Omechi, who is coming to us live as well. And good afternoon to our viewers here in Nairobi, Kenya. Good afternoon to our viewers in Africa, the rest of the world. And of course, it is my pleasure to join the conversation this particular afternoon.
All right, and we're also joined by Samson Omechi Ongera from Nairobi. Samson, a very good afternoon to you.
Good afternoon to you, Miriam. Good afternoon, Dr. Mashanga. Good afternoon, Wesonga. Good afternoon, all of the panelists. Good afternoon, all of the listeners and the entire world. This is the good afternoon that we are now here to see the way forward. Thank you.
Okay, thank you so much. So we apologize for that. Doc appeared to have experienced some technical hitch there from where he is at the coastal city of Mombasa, but nevertheless, we shall continue and he shall find us as we continue. And let me just read us through quickly the headlines on the leading newspapers today. And the main headline on the Sunday Standard is Real or Fake Unmasking 2022 pledges. Despite state coffers running empty, presidential aspirants are making big spending promises, and when put to task, they are at pains to explain how they will implement what have been dismissed as vague and unrealistic. The story is on page 8 of the Sunday Standard. And then at least 19 drown in Kila Mwingi River. The story is on page 3. My battles to contain Nyachai and Jaramogi. The story is on page 4 and 5 of the Sunday Standard. And then the Sunday Nation, the main headline, how DP Ruto boxed Uhuru into a corner and masking dare by the deputy president. That became the president's irritation. The story is on page 19, 20, and 21 of the Sunday Nation. And then Day Raila blew his chances to succeed Kibaki. That is on page 4 and 5 of the Sunday Nation. And inside, top secret COVID-19 vaccine smuggling racket, a nation investigation has unearthed details of a clandestine network of corrupt government officials and private sector employees who are selling vials of donated coronavirus vaccines. The story is on page 8 of the Sunday Nation. And EACC to vet 2022 aspirants as fundraising window closes. The story is on page 23 of the Sunday Nation. As Uganda rolls into DRC, bad memories resurface. The story is on page 32 of the Sunday Nation. So that is what we have on the front pages of the leading newspapers this afternoon. And Doc, I see you back.
Yes, we are back. You know, when the ocean keeps on waves, then the waves keep on the ocean. So we are floating right now at the coast, the mobile unit. That's why I told you I came here to test how efficient, wherever you will be, Miriam, whether in Bondo, in Siaya, in Busia, how will you be in Funyula, in Kisi, how will you be broadcasting? So for me, I can see all the technicalities. I will carry all my equipment, and in all my units where the mobile units are, we shall carry the equipment. That was a test of the equipment. But thank you very much. The memories of Uganda's crossover, we shall discuss them. But let's first, we know I am one of the few people who has come out to support President Museveni effort of crossing over to reassemble Congo. Congo needs reassembling. There are two countries on the African continent right now that need reassembling. One is the Democratic Republic of Congo, two is Nigeria. We better reassemble them before they become a menace to Africa. A population of 200 million people in Nigeria is at this crossroads. They don't know what to do, what to eat, when to go, where to go. A population of almost 60 million people in the Democratic Republic of Congo. They are not aware of what to do, where the minerals are, who is taking them. 146 rebel groups, Miriam, have assembled in the Democratic Republic of Congo. They are killing us every day, one by one. They come eat us. They eat small. Museveni, on this one, you have my support. But we disagree on so many other things. But on this one, go. Let's get them. We can lose, but let's go. Let's get the truth out of this. You can't have rebels surrounding us, coming into Uganda, taking some things, taking us, taking our lives. Surely that there must be a stop to it. Back to Nairobi in the studios, Miriam. The Daily Nation, what does it say? Tell me, ask me any question. Where is Ruto today? He's in Nyeri. He's praying where God is. God is only in Mount Kenya where he goes. There is no God in Rift Valley. Therefore, he can go and stick in Mount Kenya, disrupt, besmirch Uhuru Muigai Kenyatta's name. My friend, it's all right. But the people who wrote the 48 laws of power were very clear. Respect your boss. Omachi, if you can silence your medium control, Mr. Omachi's equipment is on the rise. Mr. Omachi, can you control your equipment across there? If you are not talking, please, yes, put something. You are on the rise when we have not arrived. Thank you very much. Across back. The guy is praying in Mount Kenya only. The guy is concentrating there. This is where God is. Yes. Yesterday, today, he's parading people, yellow colors. Have we returned to Moism? Where people, Baba, yellow, sing. There is one thing that I want to tell you. in politics, you eat the money, but you vote secretly. Actually, the strategy the people in Mount Kenya are using is a very good strategy. Eat the money and vote differently. You are the only one in the box. Eat the money and vote the thief out. That's the slogan. Kura pesa, kura to a person who will not steal your money again. Lakini hizi kura, in fact, the more he brings, the more they buy helicopters, they sell helicopters to each other. Kajagwa has bought a helicopter to Ruto. Ruto has sold a helicopter to Kajagwa. So, Miriam, eat the money. This was the money stolen from you. What ya Nyeri, what ya Muranga, what ya Kiambu, kura. Lakini kura, piga pande ngine. Vote a person, I'm not telling you, but vote a person you know will keep your money. Don't vote a man who will sell your land title. Even the state house land title could be sold. Because if you have a lot of appetite, Miriam, you could even end up selling the land title of the parliament. By the way, who keeps the parliament land title? We might be sitting as quarters. I hope it is not still with the British government. You know, Africa has got so many interesting things, Miriam. And one of the things is that we might be sitting on land titles where, like in Zimbabwe, we discovered later on that all the houses of government, the owner was in London and died over 70 years ago. And the land titles in the Harare city, as you see, were in the names of the dead man who died 70 years ago. So before we hand over power to any person who has stolen some things and has ascended to power, when the Kenyans have decided wrongly, check your land titles. They might not be there. To the sense that the man could sell them himself. You know, the guy likes land so much, but here you are. That is my observation. All these papers have written nothing. Like, how did the Ruto fix Uhuru? Fix him where? Uhuru is still the president. You know, don't pay editors to write. They have now shifted another small editor called, who used to be in the Star, that is heading something electronic. He shifted it to go there to be placing such topics. The one who works with Bitumbi. You know him, Mr. Wesonga. He has left the Star newspaper, is now in the Daily Nation. Only to write this type of headlines. Ruto fixed Uhuru where? Fix him how? President Uhuru is still the president of the Republic of Kenya. Will you like it or not until August next year? Yeah. When he finishes his tenure of office, we shall go to Addis Ababa and continue to work for Africa. Is there any problem? If you want to follow us, but you might not follow us for a long time. Yes, we shall go to Africa. There is a lot of work to be done for Africa. Just leave, he will hand over power, but he doesn't want to hand over power to a man who is going to steal even the airline. Take it all, change everything. You can see the samples. Every thief is gravitating towards Ruto for cover. We shall be creating a Robin Hood den of Nottingham. You remember that guy? Okay, that is you, up to you, Kenyans. Don't cry for me, cry for your children, because okay. Because I will have a home to go. If you spoil it, spoil it. If you want to destroy it by handing over to a man of that stature who is going to destroy, who is not. Look at this, Miriam. Someone is saying he doesn't like the government. Then he is telling the public, we did this, we did this, we did this. Now this morning he has just told a lie. He said that Raila stole, Kibaki won the election. But he was standing on a table in 2007, on a table beating Givuta, saying the election was stolen. I will show the pictures. We are going to bring those pictures of Ruto standing on the table, trying to beat people, to beat election officials, because he said the election was stolen. Now today, in a church, and you know, you go and lie in a government in a Christian way. Are you hearing me, Miriam? Miriam, are you hearing me?
Yes, Doc, I can hear you.
A man is lying in a church, and the Kenyans are happy listening to a liar in a church, and the priests are laughing when he's lying. And this is the same man who brought violence in the Rift Valley. He told people to stand up to defend the vote. It has been stolen. We have not forgotten. For me, who worked so hard to remove this man whose lips were white, you know, he was white lips in the ICC. Rule 68 was coming back for him. I went and did my job. Yes. Well, did you know anything? I did my job. I was even arrested by Netherlands police for Otieno. Gradually, Otieno accusing me of having touched her breasts. I didn't touch her breasts. I was taken out of the hall, arrested because of Ruto's Rule 68. And here he's telling lies again. You don't know why I'm upset. He never came to say thank you to me. But mwisho ya mwisho, itakuwa mwisho. Si ndio Wayosonga? Wanafikiri Karim Khan will be there forever. Mtu mwingine atakuja bwana. Watakusukuma. Wewe, just go slowly bwana. Matsanga might not be there tomorrow because I hate ICC. I stand firm. I tell the truth. I don't like them. But if, let me tell you, I suffered. As if that was not enough for Miriam. Njonjo Mue says, Harun Dubi goes to accuse me to the police. And they say, Harun Dubi and Kegoro accuse me that I had killed Njonjo Mue. Is that not a very serious charge in the Netherlands? Only for Njonjo Mue to appear in Nairobi at Jomo Kenyatta International Airport addressing a conference that I'm alive. Now you see where the mess I have been put in because of Rule 68 of Ruto. Today I've chosen a Sunday to tell the truth. Ruto sikia. Wewe unaenda unatembea unazumba you are insulting people. Lakini wewe, mjamaa wewe, you have made some of us suffer. Because we hate ICC. I am not seeking for any reward from you. Neither do I want it anymore. Since you refused to even say thank you, you gave it to Moses Kuria. You gave it to other people, Hassan Omar, who are your surrogates now. Halwale, enjoy. But siku za mwisho zinakuja. Mwizi atakuwa mwizi. I took the truth so that it's not misinterpreted. It's direct from me. If someone said I was not in that hall when I was discussing Rule 68, put up your hand under your skirt, under your trouser. Put it out. Stephen, bring that photograph where I was standing before a panel of the Assembly of State Parties. Bring that photograph where myself, Onyoka, Ambassador Macharia, the current PS of Foreign Affairs, and another lady who are against ICC, we stood before the panel, which was going to decide on Rule 68. That is the photograph. That is the photograph. It annoys me. I was defending a thief who turns around to talk about Matanga every day. Matsanga. Did you produce Matsanga? I was in school before you. I stood. Is that not my picture? Is that not Macharia PS? Are we not addressing a panel that finally got the gist and went inside to the plenary to say Rule 68 should not be? Was not that the panel? Where is he? Where are his people here? Where are they? Some people in Africa, in Kenya, when you talk, they think you are useless. Lakini itakuja tena, itakuja. Si ndio mnaanza mavurugano, itakuja. Itakuja leo mjue hiyo. Learn that from me today. So Miriam, the summary of all this, that Uhuru, Ruto box Uhuru, how do you box a president? His Excellency, the president has done a lot. There is a legacy to be proud of. He's left a legacy. He wants a united Kenya, a Kenya of unity, of purpose. You wachana hiyo ya kwea yellow shirts running around. You run around with yellow shirts. We know you want to copy Museveni because President Museveni's color is yellow. But we have also fixed you somewhere there. You fly there now with Mr. Yadin. Mr. Ruto, why don't you fly to Uganda with Mr. Harun Yadini now? I'm challenging you, I'll buy you a ticket. For lying, you know the man told us, Mr. How can a country stop a big investor? Is Mr. Harun Yadini an investor? Jama, danganya watoto. Thank you very much. Back to the studios in Nairobi. Me, I'm talking my facts, Miriam. Cut it quickly. We come to the truth. Politics is not the way. Leo na leo. Lakini, the truth is, I warned the people. I told the people that the worst thing that could happen to Kenya is the criminal justice system. If you have a wrong criminal justice system, Wesonga didn't I say it, Miriam? The worst criminal justice system in the world will never deliver a country. We lost it. People did not listen to me. They thought I'm a madman Ugandan looking for money. I've never got any money. If it was Moise days, I would have been given a big building in town and the name it Matsanga. For all the things I've stood for this country. If I don't tell you this year, when will I tell you? Yes, it's better mujue. Hata kama mnataka mpendi mimi, mujue. I stood by you. And I've stood by that country. There is no country in Africa I've stood by and left in chaos. I'm not Kofi Annan or Obasanjo. Show me one. Show me one country. I stood by Zimbabwe. I told Mugabe to leave, to make a transition. He refused, Miriam. When Mugabe refused, what happened, Miriam? The generals came and removed him. I told him in Addis Ababa, Mzee, go and put a transition. He asked me what a transition is. Then he went and told the wife, Grace, that we needed to make a transition. Grace herself made a transition. So do you blame Matsanga? He was my friend. May his soul rest in peace. He wanted now to kill the rest of the people he fought with because he wanted the wife to take over. Women in Africa, in empires, they collapse empire. That one you should know. From the empire of Ayo, Benin, Ashanti, Buganda, Every, Kabalega, Bunyoro, Toro, the Mahdi Empire, the Haile Selassie Emperor, Haile Selassie Empire of Ethiopia. Women have always been a cause, but I'm not saying Miriam is a cause. I'm only saying women. They always bring down empires. But for me, the sadness of Kenya as I speak from the coast. I was talking to so many people over the weekend here. There are people who have agreed that, yes, give Raila Amolo Odinga a chance because he will do a Mandela. Yes, I've been gathering quite a lot. And that is my submission from my angle on the question of Kenyan politics, mixed it with the headlines. I don't see the other headline that touches me is risk assessment by drivers. Whatever you are doing, any course in the world, Miriam, and especially you people who are proceeding with your education, there's one thing you should always do: risk assessment yourself. Are you able to do this exam? You can postpone and do it next year. Don't go in. The driver of this vehicle, if you are taught how to drive in the United Kingdom, one of the lessons for driving lessons in the United Kingdom is risk assessment officer. There is a risk assessment officer who looks at you and says, this guy will be a very dangerous driver. And they disqualify you, you don't get a license. This guy is a bad man. He should not be given guns of Maina, of Wanjigi. The guns that are prohibited in Kenya, the man has them. Is he a sniper? Does he want to snipe people? Risk assessment is a subject of very important value. The driver of the bus should know that water mixed with an engine which is running on tires, and once the water goes under the underneath of the car, it will sweep it. Isn't it that risk assessment? That risk assessment. The driver should have watched, but he assumed that the river was shallow. A darker river, when you see the waters are cool, don't think they are shallow. You know that Wesonga knows those type of sayings. So for me, part of the problem of the tragedy of Kitui is lack of risk assessment tools. The driver could have just said, we are not going until the water subsides. And there you help the children. But you are not helping the children by making them go and die. So I'm sorry, may their souls rest in peace. But here in Kenya, please, try those who are training, even NTSA, risk assess people. There are some people who are mentally wrong. They should not touch steering. They should not have guns. They should not be given bullets. They should not be given handguns. Here are some people who are annoyed, paranoid. You don't give them any gun to kill people. That's why before you get a gun in the United Kingdom, you must go for mental check. Is Wanjigi, the way he speaks, is mentally very wrong. He could kill so many people. Why do you give a man 5 guns? Why? And the guns that are not prohibited in Kenya. So for me, Miriam, that's my position. I've taken most of your time, but as I am the one going to be moved,
that I'd like to hear the opinion of the rest of the panelists. That is that politicians eyeing various seats in the 2022 elections could be in for a shocker after the Ethics and Anti-Corruption Commission announced that it is coming for those with integrity issues. At the same time, the window for aspirants to use Harambees to campaign will be closing on December 9th, just 5 days away from today. Aspirants cannot participate in fundraising either by themselves or proxies within 8 months to the election. The prohibition includes participation either by attendance or contributions. The import being to curb aspirants from influencing voters by donating funds or monies for support. said Independent Electoral and Boundaries Commission acting CEO Hussein Marjan. In line with Section 26 of the Elections Act, a person can be disqualified as a candidate in an election for directly or indirectly participating in public fundraising or harambe within 8 months for general election or during polls period. However, aspirants and participating political parties can conduct fundraising meant strictly to finance their campaigns. And so apparently any politician or any person aspiring to hold any seat in the upcoming election in 2022, after 5 days, you cannot conduct a harambe, you cannot give even give money for anything, because that is prohibited by the law. How do you see this playing out there, Samson Omechi? How will this be received by the political class in this country?
Thank you, Miriam. I think we have so many rules and regulations which are not adhered to. Those are good rules on paper. They are good rules on a good society. But in my own assessment, and being the fact that we are in Kenya, the law can sound good, can be good on paper, but giving out the money has been the norm in the Kenyan politics since time immemorial, and it's not going to stop anytime soon. They can stop the fundraising by the normal fundraising that is known, but you cannot stop politicians from fundraising in their own ways. So that cannot affect the politicians, and especially the Kenyan politicians. It is good because the money has since been now everything to affect the kind of leadership that we are always put in place. Because the kind of leadership we are talking today, it is being influenced by money. You can see what Ruto is doing across the country. It's about the money. And the money can influence in one way or the other the voting patterns. So it's good law. But the question is, Miriam, who follows law in Kenya? And we have a judiciary that is so rocky. Someone will move to court tomorrow or next day, and the court will stop that regulation. I know. People are somewhere waiting. People have been paid money somewhere to go and challenge that regulation, even that law. And our judiciary, being what they are today, they can as well say, no, this cannot work. You remember the issue of qualification, the degrees. The court said, no, it is not practical. Even this one, the court will say no. Even if the court will say no about this law, the politicians are so clever to the extent that they will now conduct this fundraising in their own homes at night. How will Jebukati know that in my house I'm doing a fundraising? I can purport to do that activity, but in real sense it's fundraising. I think there is more than meet the eye. We must move beyond the law. We must start assessing our own attitude, our inner person, because as a society, laws cannot change anything. Especially in Kenya, there are so many laws, good laws that are so sweet when you mention them, but it has not helped the country to progress. It's not about laws. It's about us as a society. It's about the people. It's about we as individuals. It's about Kenyans' way of doing things. You see, Kenya is a funny country. Everything in Kenya is possible. Everything in Kenya is possible. My sister Miriam, in Kenya you cannot police the politicians. They will do it in another way. They are so clever. If they can fail in courts, mark my words, they will do it. They are not even bothered about the deadline, but they have their own ways of how they will do it. But how I wish, as a country, we have those regulations. We make them work, but they will not work. That's my submission, Miriam.
Okay, thank you so much. Thank you so much, there, Samson. Now, Daniel, aspirants cannot participate in fundraising either by themselves or proxies within 8 months to elections. What we are seeing now, anybody who's feeling like they want to dish money or participate in a harambe or any form of fundraising, they have only 5 days to go. And on top of that, now the Ethics and Anti-Corruption Commission has announced that it is coming for those with integrity issues, and they might not be cleared to participate in next year's general election. How do you think this will be received by the politicians, and especially when you look at the DP, who is known to be very philanthropic? How do you think, will this be looked at as a targeted towards a certain section of the political divide? Wasonga?
Yes, thank you so much, Miriam. And of course, Dr. Masanga mentioned about the collapse of our...
Sorry to interfere.
That's the reality of the matter on the ground.
Go ahead. You're okay now. Go ahead.
All right, just a minute. All right. Yeah, so thank you so much, Miriam Mobutu. And of course, Dr. Masanga talked about the collapse in our criminal justice system. And you realize that even today, as we speak, we have people like Deputy President William Ruto who are dishing out monies, 2 million per day, and they earn 2.5 million.
Sorry to interfere again. Your device is placed the wrong way, so you're.
All right. Yeah. So I hope you're able to hear me.
Go ahead.
Yes. Thank you so much, Miriam. Of course. In Kenya, we have a problem, and the problem is that our criminal justice system has failed us a big time. You realize that we have politicians like William Ruto, the deputy president himself, who is actually dishing out money day in, day out in regards to campaigning, early campaigns. And we've not even seen the EACC, we've not seen the IEBC reprimanding or calling the deputy president to go to their headquarters and explain even the source of this money. We know this is a man who earns 2.5 million per month, but he's able to dish out up to 10 million in a day. And in a month, Miriam, that is almost to 100 to 300 million. So you ask, does this man even have an industry, a manufacturing industry like Manu Chandaria, or maybe the popular industrialists that we know here in the country? The answer is no. Where does he get this money then? And he's a public servant. Then your guess is good as mine. So if politicians are stealing public money and splashing it into the campaigns as early as now, and then the IEBC and the EACC have the audacity to tell Kenyans that in 5 days now they're gonna curb on this splashing, when already this money has already caused a lot of chaos. Today, our youths are radicalized through the Hustler Nation narrative, just because the deputy president has been moving around giving out handouts and distributing wheelbarrows and aprons to our young people. If the EACC and the IEBC had done their homework quite correctly, Miriam, I believe right now we will not be having the problem that we have in our country. Today, the Hustler Nation is like a cult. It's like the Mungiki of the past days, where today young people do not think, even when politicians go to their rallies, all they wait for is to get handouts. In the newspaper this morning, I was reading about Musalia Mudavadi and Kalonzo Musyoka being taken hostage by angry young people in Trans Nzoia, so that he can leave some handouts. They can leave some handouts behind, and that is the kind of politics that we are having right now. A politician cannot go somewhere and be able to sell their agenda without leaving handouts, because they actually risk being stoned by these young people who are actually scavenging for these handouts. And also, you realize even as the politicians are giving handouts, they're actually the cause of the turmoil and the chaos that we experience in political rallies. So to me, I think these agencies have failed big time. Even as the IEBC is pulling out of the multi-sectoral committee, I believe there's still much to be done, Miriam. And if they do not quite take care, then they are the same agencies which are being paid by the taxpayers, but they are the same agencies which will send this country into the brink of collapse. So to me, I think they still have much to do. If, like my brother Samson said, they do not have the capacity still to know whether the politicians will go behind the scenes and on the sidelines to continue dishing out money, because history has taught us that these agencies have been toothless dogs which have never done anything. Today, you see Anne Waiguru campaigning together with the Deputy President William Ruto, and together they are dishing money to the voters. You have seen since Waiguru crossed to the Tangatanga side, the amount of money William Ruto is giving per day is actually close to 10 million. And these are the two most important criminals who have been named in the NYS 1 and NYS 2, where billions of shillings were lost, Miriam. So to me, I think rather than telling Kenyans the empty rhetorics about curbing this electoral malpractice, it's better these agencies actually focus on reinforcement and enforcement of these particular pledges that are given to Kenyans. Otherwise, if they continue just talking about the stale talk that has been there for ages, then Kenyans will actually just take it in relation to whatever we've been having before. We have been having these agencies coming in the run-up to the election, talking about every tough condition that they are going to undertake. But when they when they're taken to task to actually take the walk, they actually appear to be insufficient. So to me, it doesn't make much sense, Miriam. I submit.
Okay, thank you so much, Doc. Is there anything you'd like to add to that now new directive by the IEBC and also the EACC in regards to those who are aspiring to vie next year?
Which IEBC?
IEBC is now saying you only have 5 days for fundraising and for Harambes. After that,
Miriam, which IEBC? The one headed by Chebukati. Yeah. You Kenyans, the Kenyans get it very clear. If I were a Kenyan, and I want to insist on this, there is still time for the good commissioners to sit, for all parties, stakeholders, to come out and resist Chebukati handling the vote in this country. You can go to heaven, you can come back to hell, you can come back to earth, come back as a messiah. Don't allow Chebukati. And I've said it. Miriam, every day I tell you, record what I say. Don't allow Wafula Chebukati to handle your vote. You Kenyans, listen to me. President Uhuru Kenyatta, listen to me. Raila Odinga, listen to me. Ruto, listen to me. Whoever Ruto might be his friend and he wants Chebukati to proceed, please don't allow Chebukati and the committee of those, especially those 3 commissioners, the ones who have been there, let them not handle elections. I don't know why Kenyans are not moving to parliament and they call a special session quickly to remove Chebukati. Chebukati should not have. Look, the election of Kenya is already gerrymandered. And if we don't speak up, some people will say, oh, I wish you will listen to that Ugandan chap. It will be too late. It is gerrymandered. So it is already bad, sour elections. Preparations of elections start early. The preparations are zero. Now see, Chebukati is calling. He's breaking the law. You know when the registration of voters should stop? He has now called for another registration of voters after finding out that he did not meet the number, the new number they had agreed with his man, Ruto. Then he changes the tactics to call for another registration. This is a man who almost sold signatures to a court. Miriam, were you not watching that clip where we were the one, you and I were broadcasting that day when the commissioner said we can get you signatures? It is on video. We captured one of the commissioners who had been sent by Wafula to sell signatures to a court in order to frustrate BBI? Is this the money you want to hold your elections? So when you tell me the Electoral Commission, which one has given a deadline where? Who is going to enforce it? Who is going to enforce that thing of fundraising? Nani? Who? You have said you don't want the police on your committee. You have said Inspector General Mutambai should not sit on your committee. So now, Mr. Wafula, who is going to enforce the law? Miriam, I'm asking, have you, I don't know why Wesonga is even talking about Electoral Commission. You are here talking about what? And Mr. Omachi, what are you talking about? Which Electoral Commission? At least for you, you said there is no order, it's just on paper. Wafula Chebukati has said Chibicho and Matiang and Michero and the rest and the Chief Justice should leave quickly. He was not going to meet them. Now, whom is he going to tell to enforce the law? Utaenda kwa police station useme, I've seen a fundraising here, I want you to arrest those people. Police will tell you we didn't know there was something like this. You didn't cooperate with us. I'm telling you, it is going to happen. Until Wafula Chebukati comes back to the committee, sits down with the committee that manages the elections, not that they are taking away powers from him. Umesikia mama? They are not. The powers of the controlling and the management and the final result tallying and the announcement lies with Wafula Chebukati. But the powers of preparation, you need stakeholders under that article. You know, where Songa knows, check the article for me and put it on the board for other people. You need stakeholders to be involved. But if you are telling stakeholders, you show them the middle finger, and then you say that there are 4 days left to, or 6 days, you go to hell in Mount Elgon and sleep. Go back to Bungoma. I don't know where Songa, this is where Songa came from. What the hell? Go back. You are disturbing people. Go back and sleep, man. That who is going? No. You tell me who is going to. Miriam, who is going to tell the world, Miriam Ogutu, that people are going to agree with that deadline? Who is going to enforce it? Will you enforce the deputy president when he goes to the church and the money is paid as if it is the church, and then he usually sends the driver and his PA Farouk to collect the same money in the evening? Did you know that? It could be the same money coming. How will you enforce it? It's only the police that can enforce. But you refuse the police. You said the police are stupid. Didn't you? Wafula Chebukati said he's not going to come to that committee. So who is going to enforce the law? Is there, so which elections of Kenya are you on? No, you are saying the Chief Justice is useless, should not even come to know how much the court can play. Who is going to sentence those people in court? Who is going to arraign those people in court? Miriam, tell me, answer me. I want answers now, you people, Kenyans. Who is going to arrest those guys? You have excluded these guys from election. You are conducting an election as if you are in your own house with your wife. Telling your wife, today I want to use Kimbo, not Blue Band. Use the Safari, not the Airtel. You can give those instructions to your wife, but you can't give instructions to a country where there are stakeholders. Election is a stakeholding enterprise. Without stakeholding, you can't hold a free and a fair election. That is the political science I teach, and that is the one. Some of these professors in town, you see them with well-combed hair on TV that there is one usually who Omonyo, is it Omonyo, with well-combed hair, with empty head, telling lies. I don't know how many students I hope benefit from that boy. He doesn't, he has combed very good hair. And these days they wear very nice shirts like copying Ruto. Then you see him there telling a lie. Why don't you that, oh, Chebukati was right. Right how? You need stakeholding. Election is preparation, not a single day event. It's a day of stakeholding. Let me use Ugandan English. Stakeholders. Who are the stakeholders? The Secretary General of parties. If the people themselves are going to take part in the election, Wafula agrees to meet them. Why do you meet them then? Is the Chief Justice the owner? Is the Chief Justice the owner? Is the Commissioner of Police, the Inspector General of Police, the owner of the election? Is the Attorney General the owner of elections? Amen. But the people who are the owner of elections are political parties. And they have formed a group together with all this. How are you going to influence it when they are also seeing? This is only, Wafula is running away from a bribe that he picked from the Greek people to print the paper. He doesn't want to be scrutinized. The biggest problem is Kenyans don't tell the truth. And they don't want to hear the truth. In fact, you are more insulted on Facebook when you tell the truth, Miriam. Jaribu one day to tell the truth. You will see how many insults they will close your Facebook account in 1 minute. They called me so many names: big stomach, hippopotamus, sijui, elephant, go home, go this. I'm hoping. I have a home, by the way, very nice home. But time will come, you will need my voice. Very soon, you will need it. Wafula Chebukati to handle your vote. You are going to cry more than the women of Jerusalem cried. And Jesus told them, don't cry for me, cry for your children who will see the results of the election 2022. Don't. It will be a mess. It's already a mess. You see, ESCC is coming in to save the situation, isn't it, Miriam? That if you have integrity case, you cannot stand. Is it going to work? Somebody is going to go to the criminal justice system and stop, and he goes through. You heard the DPP telling us on Friday that if everybody, the MP, the people, the law is not there yet. The law is not there. When they brought the money, how much money should the election cost? Didn't the MPs block it? Didn't they block it? Somebody ran to court and blocked the whole thing. We are back to zero. So that is my submission. There is no IEBC, there is nobody. Just call it a Kwagamaya elections.
Yeah, and Doc, something that you brought up when you were looking at IEBC and Wafula Chebukati and where he finds himself right now, because he had no problem attending that meeting for the multi-sectoral committee that was formed in readiness for next year's elections. He actually attended that meeting and he already understood, why it was formed, until the other fraction of the politicians started making noise. That is when he changed tunes, and now he came out and said, you know what, perhaps the independence of the IEBC is being interfered with. So at this point, if he decides to go back to the, to the committee, of course, the other side will feel like maybe, I don't know, the government has intervened And if he continues, because now he seems to be sounding as what the UDA politicians are sounding like, he seems to be echoing what they've been saying. And so there has been a perception from a section of Kenyans who are feeling that perhaps Chebukati could be working in cahoots with maybe the UDA party or something like that. So should he change tune again, he will be accused by the other side that maybe, he's talking to the government. So perhaps even as we start right now preparing for next year's election, Chebukati seems to be a very divisive figure in terms of even sitting on that seat and preparing to chair and to prepare for an elections next year. So perhaps he's not even the right person, because he's already attracting so much divisiveness as far as, preparation for this election is concerned.
You have hit the point, the nail on the head. Where he has found himself, Chebukati should just look for a good parachute and blow himself out of the plane, because the plane is going to crash. Hello, the IEBC election of Kenya plane is going to crash. If I were Chebukati, is to press the button, the parachute comes out, I leave it to stand aside and tell the president I'm not able to hold an election. He doesn't have money. He has not got the money. He has now gone to the extent of selling cars. He has become a merchant selling cars, motor dealing. Did you see the advert on newspapers about motors? Why don't you return these cars to the government treasury for them to sell these cars? Who is going to benefit from these cars? He's calling his friends to buy the cars. Have you seen that there are over 5,000 cars of IEBC to be sold? Did you see that advert? Now the IEBC, Wafula as a chairman is a CEO. He works as a CEO, he works as a chairman. The CEO, the acting CEO is just a rubber stamper. He doesn't even know the left or the right or the head or behind or the bottom. Maybe it's bottom-up economy. So who is going to lead the Kenya elections to be credible? Another factor that concerns us, because it is all going into conflict. Our second phase, which is what you are talking, Miriam, is touching the second phase. What causes this conflict, peace, security, and conflicts in Africa? You will find that the common denominator is elections. Most of them come out of elections. Most of them come out of politics. Bad elections, bad electoral commission. People are fed up. In Congo, there is a section that has never known that Mobutu died several years ago. So we have those type of things. So for me, I agree with you. He has become a divisive character in the IEBC. If I were him, I would press the button as a pilot of the Air Force, jump out and get saved, let the plane crash in somebody's hands. But if the president is watching and will hear this tape, if I were the MPs in this country, if I was a Kenyan, I would have gone to parliament, cried to the speaker to call back the parliament to eject the chairman and the electoral commission and set new dates for elections for Kenya. There is time, we can do it better. A good election is better than a bad election that brings war. A bad election is equivalent to war. A good election is equivalent to peace. An acceptable election is equivalent to stability. Unacceptable, acceptable, unacceptable, and unacceptable is equivalent to war. Acceptable and unacceptable. Two words. One, if it's accepted, is peace. The second one, unacceptable, is war. People will go to the streets, they will burn the streets, they will burn the shops, they will burn everything if it is unacceptable. So a bad election creates chaos. So for us as a community television, for us as the mouthpiece of the strugglers, we are not hustlers, we struggle. Maybe Ruto is a hustler because hustlers is Malaya. They sell their bodies. So we are not hustler. A hustler is a very bad word for me. So I'm a struggler. If I were the struggler in Kenya, I would have moved to court, stopped Mr. Chebukati not to touch the vote. He has not opened the servers of 2017. Now Ruto has gone to Nyeri, ignited another debate by saying Kibaki won the election squarely. Yet Ruto is the one who kicked Kivuti. I was there with Sky News. We took his pictures. If we want, we can remind him how he stood. Even Raila was calm. Who was the owner of the election? Raila did not want to slap Kivuti. It is Ruto who slapped Kivuti. How violent he is. And we are going to play these clips to Kenyans. That's the man you want to give power. And then he started addressing the whole nation. He is now addressing his people in the Rift Valley to get the pangas and the machete. Hey, tuambiane ukweli sasa, si ndio amefungua chapter huko Nyeri leo. Wache tumwambie, tumuoneshe his statements. Tumwambie. So if people are watching this, they better watch and listen. And listen carefully. We have had enough problems for this country, Kenya. A better Kenya is a good Uganda. A better Kenya gives Ugandans peace. Our goods will arrive. We shall not lack petrol, fuel, sugar, and so on. A bad Kenya brings us more chaos. I submit.
All right, thank you so much. And that marks the end of the first part of the show that is on Kenyan topics. And now we get on to the African topics where we shall be looking at peace, security and conflicts in Africa, and what next for this continent, even as the year is coming to an end, and we still have a lot of conflicts that are coming up, others that have existed throughout a couple of years from before, and the new ones just forming. And we've seen the latest one there in Ethiopia that right now is over 1 year in the making. And as you speak, the desire for the Ethiopian government to seal off external access routes for the Tigray People's Liberation Front has attracted Middle East rivals to the Tigray war, adding outside influence into the 1 year long conflict. And we've seen how that has played out as TPLF leader said that UAE, Iran, and Turkey were party to the conflict by arming Addis with weapons and drones. Now the trio denies fueling the war, although Turkey has in the recent past offered to mediate in the conflict, even though it also reached various bilateral agreements with Ethiopia on defense and security cooperation. The trio has denied fueling the war, and we've seen how that has played out even as the war in Ethiopia continues there. So, Doc, as we get towards the end of 2021, the war in Ethiopia has continued. Is there a possibility or even a light at the end of this tunnel that perhaps Ethiopia could come to an understanding with the TPLF and maybe start a road towards finding a lasting peace in this conflict there in Ethiopia, even as we have in mind the now external forces that are involved and are now being accused of fueling this war?
First of all, Miriam, I want to tell you that I am not, look, you talk about Ethiopia. We said peace, security, and conflicts in Africa. Ethiopia is a clear example of a country that was stable, but now demonized by external proxies, destroyed, isolated, destroyed. They gave this man a Nobel Prize laureate. He received it. They praised him. After praising him, he turned against the same people who praised him and gave him a laureate Nobel Prize, which he got from Sweden. They now want him out. Now they have come, they have dismembered his country. A stronger GDP, a very strong GDP where all companies were running to in Africa is gone. It will not recover. You can end the war, the real fight, but not the conflict. The conflict between Eritrea and Tigray is a huge conflict that has now attracted. You can see Turkey. I've been telling you here that Turkey still has a hangover of Africa. The Ottoman Empire, if you read the history of the Ottoman Empire, you will find that the Ottoman Empire left Africa without a territory because of their bad things that they did to us Africans. We still, you have, the children don't remember this, but we did not know the difference between the Ottoman, the Turks, and the Arabs. But what the Turks did on the East African coast as an Ottoman Empire, if you study back the history of the generations that started coming to the Indian Ocean shores, you will find that Turkey was one of the cruelest among the Arabs. Leave Oman, Yemen, where they took us on chains. And today we go there willingly anyway, because we have nothing to do. They took us unwillingly. Now we go there willingly, Miriam. You find a whole plane packed of good, beautiful young ladies flying to Dubai. They are going to do the jobs. Because we become stupid, we gave them at the first minerals. Now they give us, they have come to collect us ourselves. That's why you see when they think about us and they see us in the houses, cleaning their houses, they kill us, they throw us through the window. Can you explain why Saudi Arabian people, Kenyans are dying there? They are thrown from high-storied buildings to die. They hate us. They hate black people. Time has come to talk the truth, your German. We are hated. Now you are allowing Turkey to arrive. Turkey came to Somalia. Is Somalia peaceful now? They paid money for Somalia to take Kenya to the court. Turkey came to Libya. Is Libya all right? They have divided. They are in Tripoli. The other faction is Bagazi. How is it going to work? Will you be electing 2 presidents? Will you be electing 2 presidents? Look at that in Libya. Muammar Gaddafi, the other one, the son, Said Khalifa Haftar, General Khalifa Haftar. All this is what the world is. And if you look at the world, the political dynamic, geopolitical situation, Ethiopia is already in chaos. Miriam, the war in Ethiopia cannot end today. Look, I have told you for the whole month. I even predicted this 2 years ago. Didn't I tell you that there will be a war in Ethiopia, a very huge one? When the Prime Minister, Abiy Ahmed, went to shake hands with a terrorist called Isaias Afwerki. He's not a president. That's a terrorist from Eritrea. He's not a president. I can't call him president. I know him from London for a long time. We worked together. That's a terrorist. Look at the number of people dying in the Mediterranean Sea. Have you looked at the faces? Are they black like you and me? These are Eritreans. Africans dying, running away from a fascist, a terrorist man who harbors terrorists. Al-Shabaab come and kill us in Mogadishu. They go and hide in Asmara. Does he tell us? No. I told you that was the end of Africa. Didn't I tell you that? I told you that was the end of Ethiopia. Is Ethiopia the same? No. So when you tell me Ethiopia, what is it? Ethiopia is gone. These rebels are 20 kilometers, 18 kilometers away from the capital. The Prime Minister is saying he's holding them back, but they have come from behind. While you are holding the Eritrean side, there is an army that is entering your capital. So what are you doing here? The man is finding himself locked up there. Very shortly, they will cut off the president and they will take the capital. So where will he go? Nyambie, where? So there is no Ethiopian politics, Ethiopian mediation, Ethiopian efforts. They were done wrongly. You put a wrong man called Obasanjo. Obasanjo is not a negotiator. He's a thief. He goes for money. I'm sorry, he's an elder, he's 86, 88 years, or whatever, he can reach 100. But for me, what he did to us, to me, I and Mbeki and Chisano on the question of Liberia, handing over Taylor, leaving us in a hotel in Abidjan. I'm sorry. I'm sorry, Mr. President, His Excellency President Uhuru Kenyatta, you are listening. Wherever you will be and your people will tell you, I can't work with such a man. Your Excellency is not a good guy. He left us in a hotel and we switch on CNN, we see Taylor being handed over to Kofi Annan people. Why didn't he tell us? When we had labored so much to bring peace in Liberia, all of us. Ndugu wapenzi. Did we leave our families and travel to Liberia for nothing? We go with Obasanjo. So I told you Obasanjo was the wrong choice for the Ethiopian conflict. Am I now right? Yes or no? Wesonga and Miriam, tell me. I'm here. Where? Which ceasefire will you get? Whom are you going to bring ceasefire? Ethiopians have told you Obasanjo, they don't recognize any mediation. This is an internal problem of Ethiopia. So why do you waste AU money? It's collecting more per diem every day. It's collecting more per diem every day. Collecting more per diem, collecting with Obasanjo cannot bring peace in Ethiopia. Therefore, the African Union should have thought about it, and I warned you about it for a long time. So the viewers, the panel watching me, that's exactly what the problem is. The problem, the conflict of Ethiopia cannot be resolved with poor mediation, and you cannot resolve a conflict when the troops are encircling. The rebels are coming from the south. You are heading north to Tigray. The other faction of Oromo Liberation Front is coming from the south. Miriam, tell me, and the panel, Samson Emechi from Nairobi. I am right now in the coastal city of the Indian Ocean. As I speak to you, I am down here. I came to find out what the preparation, so that our mobile units will be spread all over the coast, in Malaba, in Busia, in Lodwar, in northeastern, in Garissa. As I conclude this, the peace in Africa cannot be obtained. The Ottoman Empire, the Turkey that you talk about, went to Somalia, created chaos. It is the one that paid for Somalia to accuse Kenya in the ICJ. Nobody wants to know this. People don't want to hear. It is like saying Chebukati can hold elections in Kenya. Chebukati should press the button and get out of the plane. The plane is going to crash. Which election can he hold? He doesn't want to meet the Chief Justice, the court. He doesn't want to meet Matiang. He doesn't. So which policeman will enforce the deadline? Which policeman on planet Earth? Niambie nyenye wa Kenya. Niambie, who? Will he come to the police and say, now enforce the judgment? When you ran away from the committee, that you should have told that, please, the deadline is coming. So Chebukati is a duplicate of Ruto. So you people allow Ruto to hold the elections then, if you don't want to change him. That call back the parliament and change Chebukati, throw him out, put a committee, a transitional committee to hold the elections. To avoid the conflict. Medium Q, we are talking about security, peace, and the conflicts in Africa. Conflicts in Africa come as a result of a bad election. If the elections are bad, there will be a conflict. The countries that I've listed there, as I leave you to discuss the topic with other panelists, that is my submission. The countries I've listed: Somalia, Libya, Central African Republic, Ethiopia, Mozambique, and the Democratic Republic of Congo. All of them have got one common denominator: bad politics and bad elections. If I'm wrong, take 1 degree of mine from my PhD, I will cut it to pieces and go back home. I'm just telling you as that's it. Don't cry for me, cry for the children of, cry for the children of Jerusalem. Jesus told the mothers, don't cry for me. I'm not Jesus. I'm not even a prophet. I'm not near Elijah or Elisha, Miriam. But I'm just saying, I studied the subject of political science, and I see a far like a tinga. I've seen what is going to happen. There's no election here. Ruto has gone to Nyeri to tell people that Kibaki won an election. Yet it was Ruto who stood on the table and started kicking Chifuta. Don't you see the clips? I was here. I took the pictures and the clips of Sky News. So you tell me, is this man worth it? You listen. You Kenyans listen, not Dr. Masanga. Thank you very much. Miriam, I leave you to discuss. Unless there's any question, I want to be on my flight back to Nairobi. We see you when it is available.
Okay, Doc. Thank you so much for that. And I'll just leave it there with you right now. I want to hear the thoughts of Samson and, of course, then in regards to what is happening right now.
I am in Mombasa.
Doc, we can, thank you. All right. So what is happening right now in Ethiopia? Obviously, the efforts by, the AU mediator that was sent there to try and find out if they could find a solution, a former president of Nigeria. Obviously, the efforts are not bearing any fruit, but also there's the issue of external interference. Are we seeing another Libya here in the making, Samson Amechi?
Miriam, thank you for another opportunity. And I think the issue of the Tigray or the Ethiopia, it is not going to end very soon. It will stay because of several other factors. Number one, because of the external forces. Number two is because of the poor mediation. Number three is because that even the African leadership has not identified the real issues. Remember, I have been on record on the same issue that mediation can only succeed when parties can clearly and honestly identify the grievances. Today, I'm not aware whether parties, both parties, have since identified any grievance or issue. So what are they mediating? Your answer is well as mine. They are mediating on guesswork. How can you achieve when you are mediating on guesswork? They don't know exactly what these people are fighting for. They have never gone down then to narrow the same to the level that they can as well understand what it's about. In Africa, it's a fact stated that today in 21st century, Africans are still not stable. The African countries, the African governments are not stable. They are still trying to rely on external powers for stability. It can't work. It will never work, even in the future, until such a time that Africans can now reflect and find a way forward. The issue of Ethiopia cannot go away very soon, even if we are closing down to another year. I want to report that the story will continue to occur because we are not honest. African leadership are not honest on themselves. Like now, the mediators, like Dr. Masanga has put it very well. Those people who mediate, they are failures. They cannot mediate. How can you expect a failure to mediate and get out of the situation? It can't work. So it is time now, African leadership, to go back to the drawing board. If at all they want the issue in Nigeria, in Ethiopia, in Somalia, in Central Africa, in Nigeria to cease, they must find some competent mediators, competent leaders, former or present, to mediate. What we are witnessing is a joke. I think even the African continent is trying to make this joke with the people's lives. They are not serious. Seriousness can be demonstrated on the people who are negotiating. The negotiators are just jokers. They are failures. They cannot mediate. It is time, Miriam, African leaders to get serious and find a way and find the people, former or present. We have leaders. We have Kenyatta here. Serious leaders in the world who can mediate. You cannot take failures to mediation table to mediate and expect a result. It cannot come out. People will continue to fight as long as we are using poor mediation methods. We are using failed leaders to mediate. It is sad stated by, I wish that until this time, the issue in Ethiopia was being properly handled by serious people, serious leaders, who are keen to see that these people, the conflict, is taken is handled in a manner that is agreeable to both sides. You cannot mediate when you are blaming the other side. It doesn't work. Mediation is a give and take exercise. And you must first of all identify the issues. These leaders have never identified the issues that are now making those people to even fight. Let them go back and find the proper channels, proper ways, proper processes that are acceptable to both the parties. Until we have that process, the issues in Nigeria, the issues in Ethiopia, Somalia, and elsewhere in Africa, it will still continue to persist. And the people will continue killing each other because of poor leadership as Africans. I dare submit.
Very well, thank you so much, Samson. And of course, we shall look at Libya very shortly. But before we get there, Daniel Wesonga, now countries like UAE, Iran, and Turkey are now being accused. TPLF said these countries are aiding the Ethiopian government by supplying them with weapons and all that in order to continue with this bombardment and this conflict that has continued now for over a year there in Ethiopia. And the efforts, obviously, by the AU mediator, former president of Nigeria, Obasanjo, are not bearing any fruits. I've not heard from him the recent past, and the last I checked, the Prime Minister went to the front lines. I don't know what he's doing. I don't know if he's okay. We've not heard so much about that as well. But are we seeing another Libya in the making?
Yes, thank you, Miriam. And of course, you heard about Dr. Masanga talk about this particular conflict. You've heard my good brother Samson Omechi also talking about it. And I'll also like to add my weight on the conflict that is ongoing in Ethiopia. First and foremost, I would like to draw my analysis from Dr. Masanga's preamble that the problem in Ethiopia began when Prime Minister Abiy Ahmed went to have a handshake with Isaias Afwerki of Eritrea. And you realize that Eritrea is actually christened as the North Korea of Africa because the guy is a totalitarian leader. He's a terrorist. He finances terrorism. And he has isolated the country from the rest of the African continent. And you realize whenever now this good man who was the Nobel Peace Prize winner, Abiy Ahmed, shook hands with Isaias Afwerki, the influence actually trickled into the leadership of Ethiopia. Was it not for the unholy alliance between Ethiopia and Eritrea, we will not have Eritrean forces going into Tigray, causing a lot of mayhem there, which was seen as an affront by the Eritrean leaders. So to me, I think the Ethiopian war will not have come to Freetown had it not to been the dalliance between the Prime Minister Abiy Ahmed and the Ethiopian president, that is Isaias Afwerki. So that is where the rain started beating the Ethiopian government. And I believe even as we move forward, we still have little hope in as much as this war is concerned, because now it has bloomed from being an inter-country war into a regional war, where we are seeing countries like Qatar, which are supporting the Ethiopian, and Turkey, which are supporting the Ethiopian government. But you're also seeing countries like Egypt and Sudan, because of the Grand Renaissance Dam, which are actually whispered to be sponsoring the Tigrayan side. So to me, it is a fully blown war, and which cannot merely be solved without understanding the causes of this particular conflict, like my good brother Omechi says. We need to have experts who will go on the ground and see the grievances. What are the Tigrayan actually crying about? What is the government of Ethiopia actually finding it maybe bad from the Tigrayan side? And how can these two sides come on the table and be able to broker leadership? But to me, Miriam, I think that will only lead to a transitional kind of government. If we do actually have to bring peace in Ethiopia, then transitional government is very, very imminent. Because as it is now, both sides have offended one another. The Tigrayans have killed the government soldiers. The government soldiers have actually perpetuated atrocities against the Tigrayan people and the TPLF, and therefore we have no point of return in this particular conflict. So a transitional government will be so much in order. Talking on Olusegun Obasanjo, the mediator, I believe is not part of the solution, Miriam. It can never be, because you realize that when the Ethiopian government held the elections, which were actually flawed, Olusegun Obasanjo was there as the AU observer, or leader of the AU observers mission, and he actually gave the election a clear bill of health. So that means that Olusegun Obasanjo, to some percentage, is also part of the problem. You cannot be part of the problem and purport to go there to solve the same problem. We need other people who are not part of the conflict, the circumstances that resulted to the conflict in Tigray, to go in Tigray or in Ethiopia to help in the negotiation process. And Olusegun Obasanjo, by the virtue that he was part of the problem, is actually disqualified. So to me, I think in the conflict of Ethiopia, we need to look at it in three ways. First, the conflict has actually advanced to a level where we might not be able to see both sides maybe surrendering to one another. So therefore, that takes us to a second level where we actually should anticipate to have a transitional government where new players will come on board, a government of grand national unity, where each and every side will actually be able to benefit. And from there, of course, we have to eliminate the mediators and the power brokers in the name of Olusegun Obasanjo and any other scavengers who are benefiting from this conflict. I submit.
Thank you so much. Before we move on to Libya, Samson, I've always thought that the problem we have today in Ethiopia is more of a political dispute, that has existed over the years. but the government of Ethiopia and of course, TPLF chose to take the military route, thinking that they will get a military solution for a political problem. Are we even going to see the end of this? Should a political solution would have been perhaps the most effective, other than the military route that especially the government of Ethiopia has decided to take?
Miriam, it's unfortunate that the government of Ethiopia is trying to fight an insect with a hammer. There is no way you can solve with political issues by military means. It will never work. It has never worked. History can bear me witness. Nowhere in this world where military has succeeded to bring stability or peace in a country where there is the political difference. It has never worked. And it will not work even tomorrow, because I believe so. There are issues that the government of Ethiopia could have find a middle ground. Because at the end of the day, the people who are against that government, they have real issues. However, not identified. There are real issues. It's not from the Ethiopians. It's not just waking up in the morning and they start complaining. There are issues. There is that feeling that we are not the part of the government. And that is the reason why in Africa, the issue of politics, the hygiene in politics is highly needed at this point in time, so that going forward, we can avoid such a conflict, even in this 21st century. It is sad that the government can go against its own people using heavy military machines to crush people who are even without weapons. It is not good. It's sad. It's unfair. It is a crime against humanity. I don't know where is the ICC now, because they have been talking about now crimes against humanity. What is happening? I think it's crimes against humanity. But I don't know. The leaders are quiet, are silent over the same. Military cannot rise against the people, against the civilian, against the population. It is sad that the government is using heavy machines, is using military. Even the prime minister is now in the front line fighting people. It is not acceptable. And the African leaders will not sit down and watch when people are being massacred by the government. It is time now, as my brother Wesong has put it, the government, the African continent, the African leaders to sit down and find a way forward, whether we can have a caretaker government in Ethiopia, so that the people can now agree on the way forward. Because the issue of elections is so emotive, Miriam. Mm-hmm. And that's why we are even talking about the IPC, because bad elections is reason for chaos. Bad elections is violence. Nothing else. It's only violence. Where people have even a slightest perception that the elections is not conducted in a way that is acceptable, there will always be violence. People will always rise up, and especially where societies failed, that they have never been in the same government. They have been marginalized for a very long time. Miriam, politics, leadership is it's about peace. Bad politics is a reason for chaos. Good politics is peace. It's equivalent to peace. So in Ethiopia, even I conclude, there is a need that African leaders must now go back to the drawing board and find a way forward and establish a caretaker government, which will bring all the people, all players together, so that at the end of the day, we will have a fresh elections, because there is disputes from elections. Disputes are from elections. And the people will continue fighting as long as they feel that their votes never counted. Their voice are not taken serious. So that is where we are as a country, as a continent. We are in that situation, but it's about leadership. It's about these people who are greedy to be power forever. They don't want to get out. They don't want to give people a chance to elect the people they want. I therefore submit.
Okay, thank you so much. And so now let's just go quickly to the other country, that is Libya. And 10 years after the overthrow of Muammar Gaddafi, Libya remains a fragmented country with a conflict between eastern and western regions involving a vast number of militias and foreign fighters. The state is desperately attempting to install a much-needed set of democratic and political institutions, while the situation within the country remains highly volatile. Amid this turmoil, the presidential election is due to take place on December 24th. That is just a couple of days away. Moreover, the list of the candidates already that have submitted their names to run for these elections are raising more questions than answers, and especially there are two controversial figures that have submitted their names for the upcoming elections in Libya, and one of them is the renegade military commander Khalifa Haftar, the self-proclaimed field marshal and controversial ruler in eastern Libya, who has submitted his candidacy for the presidential vote. And after he did that, and that was, I think, a couple of just weeks ago, the son of the former president, Muammar Gaddafi, Said Gaddafi, also submitted his name as a presidential aspirant in Libya. And since that, we've seen a bit of tension. And so, even as Libya struggles to organize for an election that is expected to take place on the 24th this month, is this not really a recipe for chaos? Look at these two figures, the son of the former president, Saif Gaddafi, and now, Khalifa Haftar. Is this not, recipe for chaos, Daniel Osonga?
Thank you so much, Miriam. And of course, Libya is a very, very delicate situation, owing to the fact that Libya had experienced a very long period of tranquility, peace, and progress under Muammar Gaddafi. Over 30 years, 3 decades to say. And when Muammar Gaddafi was toppled through the Arab Spring, which of course was engineered by the Western power through NATO, Libya experienced some leadership vacuum, which is very dangerous for any country. And that is why you saw terrorist groups such as Al-Qaeda and ISIS actually stemming out of it. And that has been the kind of what Libya has been described, a failed state, a country where we have been having anarchy, military rule, and bloody take on from various rebel groups. And of course, now that Libya is heading to the elections, we anticipate that the people of Libya are going to be wise enough. They have seen the leadership of Khalifa Haftar, which was described with a lot of people losing their lives, a very, very bloody purge on the people of Libya, the civilians. And to me, I believe the coming on board by Saif al-Islam, who is a son of the late Muammar Gaddafi, is going to bring some kind of beacon of hope to the people of Libya. Because you realize when Gaddafi was the president of Libya, Libya had free housing, they had electricity across the country, they had lower living standards, they could afford most of the commodity in the country. So to say, the welfare of the people was actually good. And I believe Saif al-Islam can actually, in partnership with other people who are meaning well for the Libyan people, will be able to actually build the country from the ravages of war and bring prosperity to the people of Libya, if he'll be given a chance. But now with the candidacy of Khalifa Haftar, who has also been having the reins of power, I believe it's actually a precarious situation in there. We are more likely to see the country going into war, civil war once again, because these are camps which are totally opposed to one another. They're like the polar sides of an element. So to me, I think if it is not Libya is not given the relevant support by the regional partners, then we are more likely to see it again sink into another civil war. But to me, I think it would be quite okay for the Libyans. It would be great for them actually to look at the good things that Muammar Gaddafi had done for the country, and actually bring on board Saif al-Islam, who is the son of Muammar Gaddafi, to see whether, following the footsteps of his father, will be able to reinvent, be able to rejuvenate the Libya that we knew, the Libya that was actually leading Africa into the United States of Africa through progressive prosperity and peaceful coexistence in its own borders. I submit.
Thank you very well. Thank you so much, Daniel Wasonga, Samson Omechi. As we conclude these two figures, I also have given the names to run for elections that are slated for the 24th of December, just a couple of days away. Khalifa Haftar, we've seen what he's been able to do there in Libya, and Saif, running by, the history of being, the son of, former leader Muammar Gaddafi. Of course, quite polarized, when you look at these two figures. Of course, there are others who are also set to run for this election. Is this not already an environment that already is attracting a lot of maybe tension? And are we likely to see chaos after, during and after this election? And is even Libya ready for an election right now when you look at how it is currently doing?
Miriam, it is sad that we are where we are because of what happened sometimes back. And remember, Libya has a long history. Remember, Gaddafi tried to make it more stable, but he forgot the space of democracy. There is a lot of suspicion even now in Libya. And the end result of suspicion is nothing but chaos. From where I see Libya going through some turmoil before and after election because of the faces that have now submitted to contest to the coming elections. Libya, Gaddafi admitted Libya another country that was economically stable, but politically unstable. For a nation to succeed, it must have both limbs. It must be stable both politically and economically. Any country that proposes to be economically stable is a lie, because the politics, the democracy is another thing. It is like a car trying to run with one wheel. It can't work. So the country must be stable both politically and economically. Libya has an opportunity to go back to where it was and find a way to accommodate the politics of the modern politics of competition, which I doubt whether the players are ready to go back to the politics of competition. I think after election, it is my prediction that Libya will still be in parts, will be still be divided. As now, the same with Libya is divided. I think we have two governments. It will continue to have even several governments. Each side to have their own government, because the African leadership has not seen this coming. If African leadership were ready to see it coming, they could have not even sanctioned this election. They could have, in fact, sat down with the parties so that to build a nation, to build a country, to make it stable, even before they now start thinking of having a government by the people of the people. Because as of now, you can see tension is rising, and it will continue rising, because people, they are suspecting each other. There is the suspicion is high. My sister Miriam, suspicion is high. Where there is suspicion, people will never agree, because each one sees each other differently. Maybe you are coming to destroy us. Maybe you have been sent. You are working for foreign powers.
Yes. Let me just, the point that you just raised there, Samson, in terms of suspicion, because we know from what we've been reading and from what we've been getting from Libya, all of these figures, of course, right now we have the acting as a prime minister that is backed by the United Nations, which Khalifa Haftar has been fighting. And we've seen the forces that have been backing Khalifa Haftar. And now we've seen other sections that are said to be supporting, other external forces that are said to be supporting now former president of, sons, Gaddafi. And so are these candidates, representing the interests of the people of Libya? Or will they be going to this election with the interests of those people who are backing them, for whatever interest they have inside Libya to win these elections?
Miriam, I doubt whether the people who have been fronted, they have the interest of the Libyan people. They are trying to achieve the interest of the sponsors, so to speak. That's about the suspense, the suspicion. If the suspicion is about it's a perception, and in a divided society, suspicion is out of the day, and the perception is darker as the day. Once we suspect and we inform a perception that this group is being sponsored, be it real or otherwise, then it is a recipe for chaos, it is a recipe for violence. People will never accept results, whether it was manufactured or otherwise. That is the reason why I'm saying there was a need for the African leaders to calm down, to make sure that the people, Libyans, they are now, there is stability to start with, so that before we engage in a process that is so suspicious, at the end of the day, on whose interest, if we force the process, when we are aware, when African leaders are aware that there is that suspense, there is suspicion, there is a negative perception. So it is sad. Miriam, as I conclude, because I see time is not on our side, I want to take this opportunity to register my condolences to the Kitui people, to people who lost their lives, to their families, and we are together as Kenyans. We are mourning with the families, and it's a sad day for Kenya and the Kitui and the government of Kitui and the people of the world. So sad. I register my condolences to the families. I submit.
Very well. Samson Omechi Ongera, thank you so much there for your sentiments. And of course, indeed, we pass our condolences to the friends and families of the people who were affected by that tragedy that happened in Mwingi yesterday. And just to recap on a point you've made there, asking whether African Union should come in and try finding a solution to what is happening in Libya. African Union could not even lead these talks. Even for these elections to be organized, that is expected to take place on the 24th. I think the talks were initiated by Germany. They took place in Germany, and perhaps that is what has brought Libya to where it is today. And we saw the cessation of war and the assaults that was going on between the different parties. So African Union, I think, gave up on Libya. It does not even appear on the priorities as the things that are supposed to be discussed when they meet, in the African Union. So we're just waiting here to see how that election will take place. But thank you so much. Thank you so much also, Daniel Wesonga, for your time this afternoon. And of course, Dr. David Matanga, who left earlier. I think he had to catch a flight back to the city. We'll see you here tomorrow with other news from across the continent. My name is Miriam Ogutu. Thank you so much. Bye-bye for now.
Thank you, Miriam.